Hi everyone, welcome back. And in this video, I'll be giving you some information on what reinforcement learning is. So, before this, I have taken two videos on what machine learning is and what are the different models, which is I've taken supervised and unsupervised learning. So, if you don't know what machine learning is, what supervised and unsupervised learning is, I recommend that you maybe click on the links that I've provided in the description box. It would give you an idea, and this would be a little more clearer for you. So, for the others, if you want to know what this is, then let's get into it without any delay. So, as usual, as our previous videos as well, before we get into what reinforcement learning is, let us come back to the basics, which is let us go down memory lane and imagine the situation when you was a kid and you started to learn how to ride a bicycle. So, most of us, there would have been others who had been assisting us, kind of holding the bicycle, holding the bar, kind of holding you, and teaching you how to learn. So, that is more of a supervised learning. But some of us would have maybe learned without any assistance. We would have learned it the hard way, all on our own. And that is what reinforcement learning is. So imagine initially when you just got that bicycle and you just didn't know how to learn, how to ride that bicycle. You learned everything from the scratch. So when you got that bicycle initially, you thought you need to run along with it, but then you would have thought like, no, this isn't the way that we ride a bicycle. We can do much more better than this. So the next step is that we would have got on the bicycle, but we didn't know how to move forward. Nothing happened. We were just in the same state. So at that time, then maybe we learned how to start pedaling. And then when you started pedaling, what happens? You don't have balance. You don't know you need balance to pedal, to ride the bicycle. So what happens? We fall. We fall the first time and we keep falling because we don't have balance. Later on we get the balance, but we are not sure how to kind of turn and do those tilting kind of things and stuff like that. So that's again a learning. So you learn how to tilt the handlebar, you learn how to kind of slightly tilt your position and while still maintaining that balance. And then again, once we master that, we come to a state when we see some obstacle, we don't know what happened because we are in the state of motion. So at that time we learn how to apply brakes. So once we apply brakes, then imagine the situation where we kind of would have, our brakes wouldn't have been working, or we didn't have brakes for our bicycle. And then what happens? So many of us, including me, we put our foot down and we try to kind of skid, and then we try to, um, stop the bicycle just with our foot. So that's another learning. And then when you keep mastering, when you keep learning these tips and tricks, you later on you start learning how to ride the bicycle with other people. So most of the time we would have started off learning with where there's less traffic, where there's no one probably in our surroundings and streets and stuff like that. Once we are really confident, then we start moving on to the roads. We practice with other people on the road, with other vehicles on the road, with different temperature, climate conditions. Probably we would have gone in rain, or we would have tried even cycling in the snow and whatnot. So also you would have come across the road signals when you need to kind of go slow on speed breakers and stuff like that. You would have learned, and in the end you would have become an expert in riding the bicycle. So, if you see through this entire journey, there's a lot of learning, and you learn something back, you master something, you do something wrong, you learn it again, you master something. So, this is how the human brain is actually trained to learn and unlearn, and then master things. So, similarly, in reinforcement learning, it has a style which is similar to imitating and mimicking the human brain. So, if you see there are some components, don't worry if don't grasp all these components or understand. In the very next slide, it will be very clear for you. So, the components of reinforcement learning is there is an environment which has a state, okay? And on the other side, there is an agent. Agent is the one that's going to take an action on the environment. So the agent takes some action on the environment, And as we all know, for every action there is some reaction, or with that reaction we kind of learn something from it. So based on that action we either get a feedback or we get a reward. So by performing an action, the feedback would be either we would have done something well or we could improve. The reward would have been kind of you mastered something. So this is the overall, interaction and components of reinforcement learning. Now let's get to see it with an example. So over here in the example that we seen, let's say the environment is the surrounding in which we are in, and we have a bicycle, and the state is, let's say for example, the state is you're on the bicycle sitting, and the agent over here is, let's say, this little kid who wants to kind of interact with the environment and the things that are in the environment. So the action that the kid is going to take is, let's say the kid now is the current state is the kid is on the bike in that particular surrounding. So the action that the kid is going to take is, let's say the kid is going to start pedaling. So what happens? So in the previous example, when the kid not knowing, how to balance, falls. So falling down could be the feedback. So which means that no, this is something wrong. It's not enough that you pedal. Yes, you pedal and you move forward. That's kind of a reward. But when you pedal and move forward, you fell down. So the feedback is you need to start gaining balance. So that's the feedback that the agent gets, or it can be a reward. Reward is something that you have mastered or learned something, or something that you did right and you get a very positive reward for that particular action. So this is about how reinforcement learning happens in a machine. So now let's go and see what actually this reinforcement learning is with the details we have. So reinforcement learning is the science of decision making. So in this entire process that we seen earlier, there's constant decisions that you are making in order to perform actions. So mimicking this type of decision making is what reinforcement learning is. And it is about learning the optimal behavior in an environment to obtain maximum reward. So the optimal behavior in this example, what is the optimal behavior? So we have an environment, we have the road, we have a bicycle, and what is the maximum reward that we can get? We have this in hand. Probably the optimal behavior is, instead of walking with the cycle, you can get on the cycle, start riding the bicycle, and then you can, the maximum reward is maybe you can reach that particular destination in a limited amount of time. So that's what also this algorithm is about. So learning to take the optimal behavior with maximum reward. So data also is accumulated from machine learning systems that use a trial and error method. So what happened over here, we didn't know earlier that we had to pedal, that we had to have balance, that we had to kind of apply brakes. We didn't know that. Everything was trial and error. Okay, that's the trial and error of us learning to ride the bicycle. The proof is all those bruises that we have on our body, the knees and elbows, and kind of that shows it's all trial and error. Okay, so the same way with this trial and error, we kept learning something, either something that we should be doing right or we shouldn't be doing. So this trial and error gives us some data. And similarly, when machines also go through this process, the learnings become data that is accumulated and based on which the machine starts making decisions. Okay, so the reinforcement learning uses algorithms that learn from outcomes and decide which action to take next. So based on the outcome, so in this example, for example, here the kid starts pedaling but loses balance but moves forward. So based on this outcome, the kid takes a decision. So the decision might be, I need to kind of maintain balance, because if I don't maintain balance, I'm kind of either falling to the left or to the right. So there needs to be a balance. So the kid takes a decision. So based on these outcomes, a decision is taken as to what action needs to be done next. And after each action, the algorithm receives feedback that helps it determine whether the choice it made was correct, neutral, or incorrect. Okay, so for example, here the child, when the kid sees some obstacle in front, and the kid kind of jammed the brakes. So the cycle stopped along. The kid also avoided going and banging on the other person in front. So in this way, the kid gets a learning that by applying the brakes, the choice that the kid made was right. So next time when the kid encounters a similar situation, the kid knows what decision to take. So in the same way, the machine also gets feedback as to whatever actions it has performed, it has taken the right decision. Okay, so this is what reinforcement learning is. I hope that you got some information on what reinforcement learning is. So if you like this video, please do give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to this channel, and also do share your feedback. Thank you.